to this week's edition of Hassel's Review. Well, we've got a little bit off the beaten path this week because it's breaking news. Breaking motherfucking news. Endeavor, the parent company of the UFC, has apparently just officially bought the WWE. So, like most of you, I never thought I would see a day personally where Vince McMahon was not the sole owner of the WWE. And I know they've been publicly traded for some time now, so technically he's not been the sole owner, but he was the big dick of the yard, let's just be honest. He's always had 51% of the company, even though they were publicly traded. He had 51%. Well, no longer. Yes, he is still very active, apparently more active than he was following all of his allegations of the last few years, where he has had to step away for, what, since last summer, somewhere in this neighborhood. And he's eased his way back, but even though he is only 49%, and he doesn't even have the 49% anymore, he and the shareholders are 49%. So of that 49%, I'm sure Vince is 80% of it, because I want to say that's what he had stock-wise when they were publicly traded, was he was still 80% or so owner. Now, him and the stockholders hold 49%. Endeavor, 51%. That is massive. I would have, you wouldn't, if you told me this two weeks ago, I'd have told you you're full of shit. And second of all, I don't see, we're coming off of WrestleMania. It's Monday after WrestleMania. And I'm going to tell you right now, as a wrestling fan, a lifelong wrestling fan, I did not see shit, not one nor two, that even if I were a billionaire, that would make me spend $9.3 billion. That's right, people. Billion. Not million. Billions. There's nothing would make me spend that kind of money on the WWE at this point in this time. Roman Reigns is a generational talent. Cody, you got some really great talent there. However, not $9 billion. Not happening, player. No, sir. No, ma'am. No, them. However you want to say it. Not happening. But the owner of the UFC and Endeavor, he is super happy, and happy at the fact that combined they now become one $21 billion company, which is, that's big. But what does this really going to entail for the WWE? What is this going to entail for the UFC? Some of the things that you're going to almost have to have here is, you know, the validity of UFC is fixed to start being questioned. I mean, it's probably been questioned for a few years now with all the John Jones bullshit. However, and a few other things that are questionable dives. I regress, however, I don't see where this benefits UFC at all, partnering up with the WWE, other than making real fans question. I don't see no crossovering, because let's be honest, if you start having UFC people over jumping and going back and forth, and then it's going to be a muddled mess at some point. So, I don't know. How soon do we see what's going on? I don't know. You don't know. It's just breaking news. Vince was on CNN today and a few other places. They done the big announcement, and Vince has this super creepy look now with this little pencil mustache and his painted on eyebrows, and ooh, he looks like Vincent Price with some really bad hair dye. This man's a billionaire, and he looks this way on purpose. On purpose. However, he was on there today making his announcements, and he did say that he would be actively involved in the WWE again. He said, from a creative standpoint, most definitely, but he would not be in the weeds, so to speak. So I don't know if that means he's a part of the big storylines, like the Roman Reigns and the Brock Lesnar's and things of this nature, which might explain some of the piss poor booking of night 2. But, or is it just going to be the overall, okay, tell me where y'all going, I'll tell you if I think that's good. If I don't like it, y'all go a different direction. That, who knows. But he has apologized and said that in his 50+ years of being a promoter and an entertainer, he has made mistakes. He has owned these mistakes. Bullshit. No, you paid those mistakes and made them sign non-disclosure acts that most of them adhere to. But you know what? He did do a solid and pay the company back the fucking money that they had to investigate his ass with. So, which I guess, you know, I'd sacrifice, you know, $17 million. I knew I was going to turn around and make 9.3 billion. But hey, you know what? I'm just a 9-to-5er myself. I don't make these decisions. So, moving past the sale, and we will do some review. Wrestlemania, night 1, night 2. There was not a fucking thing justifiably making this a 2-night event. I'm very much not an advocate for 2 nights. I love wrestling, but it is too much. It is just too fucking much. Literally, you had Monday Night Raw, NXT, then you had SmackDown, then you had the Hall of Fame. All that's Monday through Friday. Then on Saturday, you had NXT, Stand and Deliver. Then that night, you had night 1 WrestleMania. Then night 2 of WrestleMania. You're oversaturating the market. No. And it just wasn't good. The show on both nights, night 1 was better than 2. It had high spots. It had some really great parts. There were some things I did like. I will say the last maybe 5 minutes of Charlotte and Rhea Ripley was a fucking banger. It was great. Before that, they kind of, it was a little lackluster for me. But those final minutes was like really great. The men's showcase match was a lot better than I truly anticipated it being. It was actually pretty good. And Ray and Calm Don pulled a pretty good match. I do think that maybe it was time to let Dom, you know, get the W. That would have been really big to get him some major heat. I don't know, there were some very questionable things all weekend long on their booking as far as moving forward and giving talent the rub they needed that they just didn't do. But they did get it right with the Usos and Kevin Owens and Zayn. It was a great match, top to bottom. Great match. Hands down, best night of the, probably hands down the best match of the weekend. Very, very good. You had your roller coaster rides where you thought that the Usos were going to, you know, pull it out, and then they didn't. And, you know, KO and Zayn won. I will say, if I knew that them winning was going to mean Cody lost, then I'd rather see the Usos with those tag titles tonight on Raw myself. Just saying. I will give John Cena credit, though. He did the right thing. He gave Austin Theory the rub. I'm not a Theory fan, but they had a good, solid match. It was the first time in 20 fucking years I actually wanted a John Cena shirt, because that G.I. Joe shirt that he had, that was cool. It had the file card on the back. Cool points to John Cena on that right there. You know, so I'm not a Cena fan. My daughter was. Me, not so much. I never, because he was just so shoved down your throat. And, but cool shirt. And then he had the special needs and the Make-A-Wish children out there as well. So, you know, much respect to you, Johnny boy. Moving on to night 2. Ooh, this is where it gets bad. This is where, even as a wrestling fan, it was hard to fucking watch. I was texting with Monster, who co-hosts the Nerdy Man Room show with me, and Big Rob of Big Rob's House Entertainment and No Chinese Food. We were all texting, you know, through both shows. And we were all just like, what the fuck are they doing? You open up with Brock Lesnar and Almost, or as Brock calls him, Almost, because he was almost a fucking star. This was the vehicle that he needed to transcend to become that next big man. And don't get me wrong, he is slow, awkward. He has, I think he's a super sweet guy behind the scenes from what I'm to understand. Like, The Undertaker loves him, a few others. So, I mean, if they love him, who are we to second guess? But he comes off very, very elegante, Giant Gonzalez in the ring. He just looks like he got 2 left feet and just one of those spectacles. Him and Khali could really fuck up a match. Oof. But that's your guy. You give him the rub. Brock's on the way out the fucking door. Unless now that this has transpired, that means we're fixing to get 4 more years of Brock, which will go over like a stink on shit. But hey, whatever. The match was bad. It was awful. You expected to be first. You expected to be short. I did expect a much different finish. I will say, 1 F5. 1 F5 is all it took to beat Almost. No, not happening. Then you move on. We get into the women's match. Asuka and Bianca Belair. Okay, Belair is a great wrestler. She's held the belt for a year now, a year straight. But she is very much starting to come off like the female John Cena of 2005, where she is just being forced down your throat at this point. I'm not a fan of that right there. I thought that it was time to let Asuka get a little bit of shine. She's done great reinventing herself with the Miss Muda gimmick, which hats off to the Muda who went into the Hall of Fame this Friday night. It was super cool to see that. However, I thought it was time for Asuka to get it and to do it, and that just seemed, the match wasn't that great. It was, I don't know, it was just bad all the way around. I personally, the booking all night long just stunk. It just stunk. That women's showcase match going on to it, whew. If there was ever a bathroom break, that was it. Back when I actually used to go to live events, me and, Monster and Big Rob and Mr. Mittens, we'd always hit, anytime they come to Georgia, we'd hit, the live events, whether it be the small ones in Albany or the big ones in Atlanta. And, we even hit a few manias. The women's match was typically, back then, the bathroom break. That or a Big Show match, one of the two. Especially then, because Big Show was kind of married to Mark Henry for a while. But you knew that's when to go. This one, the women's showcase was just that. It was time to go showcase a turd and drop him off at the Super Bowl. Bad. Super, super bad. Moving on to the Hell in the Cell match. They actually had a really great match. Who the fuck would have thought you'd have opened with Slayer? Slayer at WrestleMania. That was like, wow. Super, super cool. I was let down at the fact that Gangrel was teased. He's been teased for a week now as being in the area, possibly being part of the, somehow being incorporated into the entrance for Edge, because, it even started out with Brood Edge, which is like, oh shit, here we go. You got the fire, and up comes Edge with this mirror mask. It looked very, very much like the Squid Games. Something I wasn't really sure where they were going with that. But then you hear the On This Day off the bridge start kicking off. So it's okay, we're cool. Demon had a great entrance. He done a really good job of meshing the regular Demon in with a little bit of the purple, incorporating the Judgment Day in there. And they had a good, solid match. I thought that had good psychology. It done what it needed to do. I don't see where Edge needed this win myself. I mean, he's back. He's part-time. He's only going to show up in matches at big pay-per-views. He's not going to be wrestling week in and week out at Raw. He's not going to be a champion. Where Finn, on the other hand, you could do something with him still. And to have the Demon lose clean, whew, man, that made no sense. I'd rather it had just been Finn Balor versus Edge, and then give Edge the W. Okay. So, it just kind of murdered the gimmick to me. Then, the main event. Now, well, okay, just before that, you had an impromptu match where Shane McMahon returns to face The Miz. Blows his quad out a minute into the match. Done. He lays there and everybody's like, what's going on? Like, nobody knew, was this part of it? Is it bullshit or is it real? No one knew. So it was literally announced today by Triple H that he apparently blew his quad out. Which, ooh, that's gotta suck. You know, your pop's done it just getting in the ring at the Royal Rumble, and then you come to Mania for the first time in God knows how long. Boom, just dancing back and forth. So, had a hell of an impromptu, I will say that, because Snoop Dogg jumped in there and he made the save and threw a couple of potatoes at The Miz. Done the worst gin and elbow of all time. It was El Libre. It couldn't have looked any faker, but God bless him, he tried. My favorite was almost as bad as that little rope splash he done in AEW. It was pretty on up there. So you could tell there was a lot more planned than what happened, because boy did they stall moving into this main event afterwards. It was like they kept stretching, trying their damnedest to make it 11 o'clock for this match started. So you get two great entrances then with Roman and Cody. And I'm a Roman fan now. I've been really big on Roman Reigns since he's returned. Before, he did seem really forced and very much like Cena. The fans know when you're shoving something down their throat and it's not working, or they don't want it to work. And the super babyface Roman Reigns, it seemed forced, it seemed fake. Maybe that's why. Maybe it was disingenuous. However, this version of Roman, he's over like Rover. He's licensed to print money. And he's held the title for 3 years now. But at the same time, you've had this incredible story and build. And it just pretty much come off, the finish of this match come off very Vince Russo, late WCW piss poor booking. Let's just swerve to swerve. And it sucks because they had an incredible match. Because Cody comes out there, you know, and he does his big elaborate entrance, goes down there to the family, picks the baby girl up, loves her up. I mean, he had the fans were here. He had them right there. Roman comes and he does his thing, tells Cody to acknowledge him, not the fans. Cody, you know, WrestleMania acknowledged me, all this stuff. And he even kind of, you know, somewhere along the way, you know, made gestures at Cody's family. They had a -1 from AEW, Mr. Luke Harper's son. That was super cool. That was a very nice gesture. He was there. So they all got involved at some point, and they had it was like very, very great psychology. It had probably the most old school wrestling match. I'll say it pacing and psychology of doing the right things at the right time. It reminded me very, very much of Mania 13 Hitman versus Stone Cold for the double turn, because that match was just paced well. I mean, it was like, it wasn't boom, 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 but it wasn't, you know, there was no lulls. And this match had that. And it was an incredible match. Wow, it was like good, very good. And then it comes. You got the Usos running down there. Okay. So then KO and them, they come. Make the save. Okay, we're cool with that. And then, out of nowhere, Cody has the match won. Solo comes up, shoots him with the spike to the throat. Roman gets the spear. He gets the W. And it just was like, it come off more like a end of a Monday Night Raw or SmackDown, or maybe just some shitty pay-per-view like a fucking Backlash, Clash at the Castle, some silly shit like that. That's the kind of finishes you have at those, not at WrestleMania. WrestleMania, that's a culmination of things. That's where you know, you end your storylines to where the next night you can have your genesis for the year. That should have been Revelations last night. Done. Roman wants to take time off anyways. Everybody knows this shit. He's part-time. He may show up every 2 to 3 weeks on one or the other, not both. Typically just SmackDown. It's time. Move on. Separate the titles. Then Roman can come back as SummerSlam and regain. I'm fine with that because, you know, let's face it, Cody is going to be a short-term transitional champion probably. He will hold the belt when he gets it. Few months, 4 at the most probably. If he holds it more than 4 months, I will be absolutely astounded. But it's not going to happen. But now when he wins it, who cares? Like last night, that was the build of everything. Finish the story. And Triple H comes out and afterwards and gives some bullshit like, oh, there is no finishing the story. It's just a continuation. You finish the chapter, and tomorrow night you get to open another chapter. The fans were invested in this. The fans were ready. This was the one time they would have been happy to see Roman lose. Because anyone else, they didn't want to see Roman lose. As hellish as he is transcended into that 84 Hogan, Bruno, Backlund, Pedro. He's up there with the big dogs now. He's superior to any of the champions from Rock, Austin, Hart, Michaels, Triple H. He's way past him at this point. Cena, who had it 75 times in 20 years, but none of his championships come close. So, I don't know. It seemed like a bummer to me. I thought it was piss poor booking and just a poor show. They could have easily combined this card down to 1, 4, or hell, 5 hours maybe. Maybe start at 7 and go to 12. You know, like an hour would be pre-show, because some of those matches could have been pre-showed. Gunther's match, I did leave that off. That was actually a really great match. That was probably actually the best match of the night too, easily. And Gunther retained, which I knew he would, because they're really big on establishing these titles for the first fucking time. In 20-something years, we're not going to have 1,000 changes a year, which I'm fine with. Other than the fact that I think it is time for changing the guard of the world title and to separate those two titles, just like I'm all for separating the tag titles, or either at least condense us down to just one set of titles and those champions float back and forth like the early draft days. But either way, that's my take on things. My breaking news / review episode. Give out some shouts and love to the Zone Collectibles at 305 Main Street, Tifton, Georgia. They're always bringing unity through community. Fandom, unite. Go see the Cladies. They will hook you up with anything and everything you can want, think of, and need. Also, check out our show, The Nerdy Man Room Show, with me and Monster. And we always have special guests on. We always have people we're interviewing. It's not just this asshole sitting here talking. So watch it. Check it out. We're on Roku TV on Southern Joy Media, where this show is also at now. Hey. And also, don't ever forget to check out our boy Big Rob of Big Rob's House of Entertainment and No Chinese Food. He is on here as well. And as a matter of fact, he will be a featured presentation very, very soon. So, either way, we do love to thank you. We appreciate it. We're nearing our goal of 250 subscribers, at which point we will be giving away an H4 Return of Michael Myers autographed mask by Mr. Tom Morgan himself. So go check it out, like, subscribe, share the page. So, till then, it's the 1, 2, 3 count, and we're out.